Pete Morrell, National Promotions Coordinator of DFW NORML. Sitting here tonight with Immortal Technique, Mr. Peruvian hip-hop artist. Appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to us about marijuana legalization. You obviously know who we are. So tell me, how long have you been a smoker?
It's not a question of how long I've been a smoker. I think before I even smoked weed, I was educated about what the history of hemp was, because there were lots of people around me who showed me how the prison system and the prison industrial complex was being used. You know what I mean? But it was a very, very basic introduction. And I think, you know, when I was a teenager and you finally started puffing a little something here and there, you know, you want to have some depth to your understanding of it. It's not just another drug to abuse, you know what I mean? Like for me, I always tell people, weed was never a gateway drug, you know, and that's a lie and a myth. Like, oh, I want to smoke weed, and all of a sudden I feel like, you know, smoking meth and, you know, downing pills. No, that's because you have an addiction, an addictive personality. That's what you have, you know what I mean? So I think when the hypocrisy of how people treat marijuana versus other things, you know, when you hear people, for example, say the legalization in Colorado, I got some idiot hit me up like, hey man, well, what's gonna happen when people start getting high and getting behind the wheel of a car? And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? You know alcohol's legal. What would happen if somebody drank and got really drunk and got behind the fucking wheel of a car?
Right.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude? You know, I've been in the car with niggas that's high. They drive about 30 miles an hour.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
they stop every 2 miles to get some fucking shit to eat. Like, get the fuck out of here, nigga. Look, anytime, sincerely speaking, anytime you're inebriated and you have a substance that gives you a little bit of a slower reaction, you shouldn't be on the road. You know what I mean? Be responsible, you know what I mean? And that is the epitome of what America's supposed to be about. You taking personal responsibility for the things you have. And unfortunately, the history of what marijuana legislation in this country is a group of people who don't take responsibility for what they have. People who spread specific lies, who target minorities, who say, oh, you know what? It's these people's fault. They're bringing it in. In the same way every time you show crack abuse on television, you know what I mean, you have a black person. Crack is a white drug. There are more white people on crack than there are black or Latino people. It's like welfare. We're gonna cut the welfare. Yeah, GOP, you know who you're gonna hurt the most?
Right.
White women. They're the ones that are on welfare. And if you won't take care of your women, homie, somebody else will.
Yeah, let's talk about the positive side. Okay, how has marijuana influenced you, your music in general, as well as a positive side?
Let's talk about where I came from. Vibrate Records was run by a man called John Stewart, who was a hemp activist, you know what I mean? He sponsored a hemp car that ran on hemp oil. You know, when I first came there, he educated me to how Henry Ford's first car was made out of hemp resin, and when he took the sledgehammer, he hit the car and it bounced off. Try doing that with your little bullshit Kia or whatever the fuck y'all niggas driving out there. You gotta take a sledgehammer, bang it into the front of your car, and see what happens. You know, we got educated to the fact that, you know, originally the clothes that people wore were made out of hemp, and they just lasted longer. So motherfucker said, hey, how can we keep making people buy clothes? Well, why don't we lower the quality of it by making it out of cotton that's only gonna last about half as long as a hemp shirt.
Cheapen it.
Right, it's just like the way they done with the American motor industry. You used to have hard-ass cars, quality vehicles from America, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, how can we make a shittier car that niggas need to have to keep, you know, fixing and putting together so we can make more money? And I think that's what's wrong with America. It's about what's good for making money, not what's good for people. You know, for example, you can go out, I'll say it on stage too, you can go out right now and you can buy tobacco that helps to cause cancer legally. But you can't buy the herb that helps to cure cancer legally. And it's ridiculous. It's everything that America should flush down the fucking toilet. And I think that it needs to confront its mythology. And that is directly in line with everything that I stand for. You don't like immigration, you don't like immigrants, don't move, don't go somewhere else, homie. You just got here. You just got to the party and you telling niggas how they should be dancing. Niggas were speaking Spanish on this side of the world before they were speaking English at all.
Right.
New York used to be New Amsterdam.
Straight up.
Right, yo, we in northern Mexico right now.
Right, exactly. So, as outspoken as you are, have you ever had any run-ins with the law about marijuana?
Oh, sure, you know what I mean? Back in the day, I think they would just take the weed or, you know, I know they would smoke it. I'm talking to you, NYPD. I know y'all niggas smoke weed. Stop playing with me. Stop it. You know what I mean? You don't go burn that in the big field. You go burn that in the tent with all y'all niggas in it and get high. Stop it, yo. You know, stop pretending like it's some horrible mystery drug. There's a difference between weed and meth, all right? You know what I mean? There's some shit that I'm like, okay, that's perfectly understandable. It was found on King Solomon's grave. Good enough for the greatest king of the Hebrew people. Good enough for me, motherfucker. And I think that when we look at that and we look at some of the other drugs that are in the marketplace, when you're smoking a natural herb, to me, that's better than taking pills that are gonna alter everything about your body and you don't even know what the fuck is in them. It's like, it's absurd. So I think that over the course of these years, you know, I've become more and more educated about it, and I still think I have a lot to learn. And what I'd eventually like to do is to be able to educate people enough within the hip hop game to say, hey man, I know y'all niggas rhyme about loving weed and loving to smoke weed, but why don't you include in your raps, and not that I can tell them how to rhyme, and I'm not talking shit about people, I'm asking them, because the only way you could teach people is with love. You can't teach people with hatred. I would just ask them, include something in your rhymes about what's going on with people smoking weed and how people are being targeted and how there's specific, there's a racial component to it. You know, there's a class component to it. They target people that don't know their rights. You know what I mean? They target poor white people, poor black people, and when they end up in prison for offenses that are non-violent, that are drug related, I've been to prison. We separate ourselves by race, but we're united by class. And that's very true. There's a whole lot of broke motherfuckers in jail who are acting like they got money because somebody's putting money on their books. If you really had money, nigga, you would have afforded a better lawyer and you wouldn't be in there.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like even the drug game is like that, brother. When I don't glorify that, but you know, even when I was involved in shit like that, I already saw what it was. The government never played this stupid little Brady Bunch story of, oh, we're gonna get the big drug dealers so we can get all the little drug dealers. No, dude. I mean, we're gonna get the little drug dealer so we can get the big guy and take him off the streets. That's their mythology. No, you want to get the big guy because he's gonna rat out all the little guys, and you're gonna have 40 niggas go to jail because they can't afford an attorney because you're a fucking pack flipper, and you know you're glorifying the life of a drug dealer. But it's not to be glorified because you probably make more money being an assistant manager at McDonald's than the average fucking weed dealer. So I'm saying the reality is, because you smoke half your stash. The reality is this, that the people who are in charge and who make the most money and who are on top of the game, they're the ones that can afford the $1 million lawyer. They don't go to fucking jail. They go to country club prison. They go to fucking rehab. Oh, I'm sorry. I was selling keys because I have an addiction. Come on, man. Any excuse they can possibly find. And who gets left out in the cold? Right? It's time for decriminalization. It's time for legalization. It's time to have that debate. It's not time to say whether we should do this or not. It's time to debate within the American public. Are we going to decriminalize? Are we going to legalize? What are the benefits and what are the drawbacks? You know what I mean? Do we want them taxing it? Do we want them to interfere with the strands? Do we want them to be able to control what we can import and where we can import for? How much and how much should each American citizen be allowed to grow? That's the conversation that we're having right now, or that we should be having right now. Not how long can we give somebody in prison for smoking marijuana. It's absurd. Right. You know what I mean? We have a prison culture now in America, and we wonder why the economy's in a fucking crapper. Right. Really? Because you're putting everyone with a brain or with an idea in prison. Right. You know? Did you think that was going to help the government? Did you think that was going to help America?
So you think with Colorado and Washington obviously leading the pack now, with finally legalizing, who do you think's going to be next? Who do you think's going to follow the lead? Or
hopefully New York. Hopefully New York.
So why do you think New York's going to be the next one?
No, I didn't say I think. I said I hope. I hope. It has nothing to do with what I think. I don't know. You give me a crystal ball, I'll tell you everything. You know, I think that, you know, for me, I would like to see that, because there's so many cases in New York of young Black, Latino, white, Asian. It's across the board being incarcerated for this. And what are you doing to these people? Are you helping them? You know, are you helping anybody with an addiction?
So let's go to next. Actually, what would you say to prohibitionists that are trying to just take us down and keep it illegal?
I'm telling you that you're going to lose eventually. Right. You know what I mean? You're delaying the inevitable, and all you're doing is hurting America. You You know what I mean? No, you don't want to become a nation of stoners that are irresponsible and don't do anything. No, you have to learn how to keep that within the confines of a society. You know what I mean? The same thing Prohibition is said, oh, if you legalize alcohol, you're going to have a drunk America out of control. Right. America's always been out of control.
Right.
You know, it's always been run by violent people. You know what I mean? Oh, let's bring Asian people here to build stuff, and then when they're all done, kick them out. Like, oh, hey, let's have Hispanic people work here and pick all this food that we're going to eat, and we still have stuck between our teeth when we're telling you to get the fuck out of the country, and then what is it? You know what I mean? Have some decency and have a reality check with yourself. You know, you're lose with some dignity, okay? No, it's not a religious issue. It doesn't make you morally inferior to be a marijuana smoker, but I think that we should look into some of the benefits of vaporizers and other stuff, so that people realize, yes, you still can get lung cancer from smoking 12 blunts a day or having papers and shit. Right. And like Nice and Smooth said, too much of anything makes you an addict. All right? If you're home alone right now and you're about to smoke weed and jerk off, you have a problem, dude. You know what I mean? Go hang out with your friends. Do something that you love to do. You know what I mean? Don't just sit there and be antisocial for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just about having a conversation with them, and it's not out of hatred. I understand that people who like who are into like prohibition, they feel like they're doing a service to try and protect the community, but they need to realize, and this is why I say we teach with love. They need to realize they're not helping the community, they're hurting the community, and they're hurting their own people. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I agree with that. Now, what would you say to somebody that is a smoker but doesn't really care if it's legal or not? They have no.
You're part of the problem, yo. You're part of the problem. You know, you're like one of those people that you want to ride the gravy train, but you don't want to pay your fucking fair share. You know, you're one of these rich assholes that are like, oh, my kid doesn't need to go to public school, so why should I pay for it? Because your rich kid is going to get shot in the head by somebody that doesn't have a goddamn education because you didn't want to pay the taxes, you idiot. What's wrong with you? Don't you get what happens and how the world works? Like, I think that's what I think people don't understand. You got to get personally involved now, because one day someone's going to slap some handcuffs on your high ass and throw you in jail, and you're going to be like, hey man, we should have done something about this, dude. Why the fuck are we in jail, man? Because you're a fucking procrastinating son of a bitch. You can smoke weed and clean your house. You can smoke weed and dance and talk to a female. You can smoke weed and have sex, because I know you're gonna do it right after you fucking watch this shit. So why can't you smoke weed and get involved with helping people to not go to prison for something like that? It's just common sense. Use your fucking brain, whatever of it's left.
Man, I can't even tell you how deep that was right there. I appreciate that so much.
Man, I tell you like this, man, I don't have as much notoriety as people that just rhyme about weed, and it doesn't matter, because I'm talking to them too. Please, man, help your fans. Help the people that buy your records to stay out of fucking jail. Educate them about their rights and tell them that they need to get involved in the legalization process, the decriminalization process. That's the debate we're having now. That's the debate we should be having. Legalization or decriminalization. Not, do I give a fuck or not? Because I'm telling you right now, they're plotting on you whether you care or not.
So what would you say to organizations like, obviously, like us?
Keep working, keep helping people, and remember, you know, don't just stick to stoner groups and where the fuck you feel comfortable. Go where you don't feel comfortable. Go to the ghetto where people are being victimized for this and they don't know their rights and they're being in jail, and you'll find a plethora of support that you did not know existed before. Have some fucking balls, all right? You know, I know that sometimes you get a little paranoid when you smoke the high strand stuff, but you know, just suck it up, motherfucker, and go to the ghetto and talk to these people, man. Go there and say, hey man, have you ever been arrested for smoking marijuana? And let the conversation begin. Man, what do you think would happen if people weren't specifically targeted for these things? Do you know what I mean? Good God, do you realize this government is the biggest drug dealer in the world? They want you to buy their pills. Are you nervous? Does your dick not work? You know, are you feeling anxious? Do you feel like killing yourself? Well, here's your pills, you know what I mean? But they get mad when they can't control the stream of that. Because technically, if it was decriminalized or if it was legalized, you could take them little seeds and grow it in your backyard. You know, oh, grandma got glaucoma. I got her. She good. I'm hungry. People are suffering of cancer. People have AIDS. They lose their appetite. This shit hits hard to home, yo. This shit hits home. That shit helps people. And keep it 100, even cops who've had cancer. You've been smoking too, man. Stop it, man. Stop locking niggas up for shit that you was doing when you were hurt, man. You're a fucking hypocrite, dude.
Straight up, straight up.
I'm sorry.
That's. We appreciate everything you're saying. It's important that people hear it, especially for individuals like you. I mean, period. So, you know, we also know it's your birthday today. So I wanted to say something real quick. Like, we have a special gift that we created for you.
It better be weed, nigga. Fuck that. I don't want to hear no. Give me no shirt,
This is
nigga.
one of our sponsors, Earl Glass Jr.
All right, man. Oh shit. Thank you. Oh, that's hard. That's hard.
I know you're probably thinking, how you gonna get that back home? We got something as a contingency. This man blew this just for you.
Roadster.
Oh man, y'all niggas, man. You know, I'm really not a weed head like that, but I do occasionally.
This goes in that.
No, I know.
He knows. Might not be a weed head, but you know how he knows.
Hey yo, this is Immortal Technique, DFW NORML. Legalize, decriminalize, realize, open your eyes. Immortal Technique, Harlem, New York, down here, Dallas, Texas. We out of here. Peace.